coming in. I'll just give everybody a bit of a chance. Good morning. Oh, I'll try and make sure I'm in the camera. Good morning and welcome from Washington, D.C. I'm Jennifer Roderick, and here we've got
Brandon Van.
And Christine Garrett. Good morning.
And we are the Tech Eye team here. Just where everybody is logging in, I will pass over to Christine, who will give you a quick description on how to use the system here. There's a number of really cool features, so we'll just make sure that everybody is aware of how to use it.
Welcome again, and thanks for joining us on this webinar. This is our final webinar for the application phase of Tech Eye, so thank you for joining us again. This application is really kind of awesome. You'll see a few different screens. There we go, on your screen. And first of all, on the top left-hand corner, you'll see the video box. This is where you can see the three of us as we're talking. I don't believe we have any videos in this particular edition, but we have had some in previous. This is, where you see us. Next, you see the chat box, which is below this video feed. Now, the chat box is cool because it has a translation option. So if you're wanting to ask a question, you're not sure how to phrase it in English, you'd rather ask it in your native tongue, you can go ahead and type that in there and use the translate feature. It'll pull up, I think there's about 10 to 18 languages that it can translate. So that's also a really cool option. And then finally, you'll see the list of participants above that, and then our presentation slides are on the right-hand side of your screen.
Perfect. So yes, if you are having any technical difficulties, if you do lose us with the camera, which sometimes happens, just by all means put that in the chat box and we'll try and resurrect it. Also, if you lose any sound, just let us know and we will try and fix it as soon as possible. Okay, so let's get started. As Christine has said, this is the final webinar for the application phase. So we have had 3 previous ones, which are all available online, and we will give you that address at the very, very end. This final webinar is really aimed to give you advice from the 3 of us. We have been working with so many people this year and last year to really help complete their applications. So we've put together our personal advice really to try and build that in. Brandon is the newest member of our team, and he will have been working with you all on email a lot. So he has got his great top tips coming up as well to really help you through that application. Okay.
So the scope of our discussion today in this webinar will really kind of cover the major bases that you should know about for Tech Eye. So we'll talk about the Tech Eye timeline first of all, which will kind of, what you should expect going forward. Then we'll go into the application specifics and our advice. In this, what you need in terms of your personal details, what your executive summary should look like, how to make a great video, and what those supporting documents should be and what they shouldn't be. Finally, we're going to go through and give you some of our final advice and kind of personal guidance and recommendations that we have. And then we'll kind of conclude with a quick question and answer session. So,
yeah, this is really your last opportunity within a webinar to ask us any questions. Obviously, if you have got any questions after this webinar, or if you are watching this recording, then by all means email us. The deadline is coming up on Friday. We've already had the extension, obviously, from last Friday. So the deadline will happen firmly on Friday at 12 noon, and that is in New York time, which is GMT -4 at the moment. Okay, so Tech Eye timeline, I'm going to run through the quick important dates that you need to be aware of right now, and then once I've finished with this slide, I'll hand over to Christine, who will give you the important dates that you need to be aware of. So the big date that is looming is the 27th of March, is your application deadline. That is this Friday. Please ensure that you hit submit before that date. If you have completed your application but haven't hit submit, then your application will not be accepted into the competition. That is a hard date. From the 28th of March until the 5th of April, the team here will then get together and we will go through all of the applications. I would recommend that you are accessible on email for this week. If we do find something that could be improved with your video, if it's not in English, or if there's an urgent problem, then we'll definitely get in touch with you this week. From there, once everyone's kind of made sure that everything is good to go, we will then send your applications out for expert review. Currently, we have about 90 to 100 experts. These range in everything from scientists to venture capitalists through to entrepreneurial experts. We have got people around the world who are going to participate in this review. So each application is reviewed 3 times, and all the details of this and exactly the scoring that you will be marked against are in the program announcement. There are no hidden fields. There are no secret passages. So if you do follow the structure that is in the program announcement, you definitely will be hitting the marks that the experts are looking for. Once the experts get all their results into me on the 3rd of May, I will then start crunching a lot of numbers, finding out exactly who we've got, and Christine will then tell you the date that everybody is then announced. The big window is the 11th of May till the 11th of June is the online voting. This is a huge portion of the competition, and if you are selected as a semi-finalist, you will be exceptionally busy in this month, but it will be an exceptionally rewarding month. You will learn exactly how to market your product, exactly how to market yourself. You will guaranteed be on local news, in national press, in international press. We had 4 projects last year were funded just from the publicity that they did alone during this window. So it's a very, very exciting time. During that time, we'll also intend to try and run some webinars to really help people on their marketing skills as we move forward, so you won't be alone in that. And then we're currently looking, we still don't have a confirmed location. Hopefully this should be next week that we hear about this, but we are looking at the end of July for the Global Entrepreneurship Summit and the TechEye Finals to happen this year.
Okay, so those were a lot of dates, a lot of things going on for the competition, but these are some really important dates for you specifically. First of all, this Friday, the 27th of March, is the application deadline. That means if you've got changes to your application that you've already pressed submit, they need to be done and confirmed and saved by this Friday. If you've not yet saved or submitted your application, you need to press that button by Friday. So this is a very big deadline, the 27th of March, no further extensions. The next important date for you is the 8th of May. This is when, after our external review happens, we'll be announcing who our semifinalists are. So this is the next stage. Our semifinalists are the folks that will go on to the voting platform stage. So semifinalists will be announced on the 8th of May. After the voting is done, on the 15th of June, we'll be announcing who will be joining us in Sub-Saharan Africa for the Global Entrepreneurship Summit. So 15th of June is when our finalists will be announced. And in the end of July, we're looking at the last 2 weeks. That's our date range. That's when the Global Entrepreneurship Summit and our TechEye Finals and training will take place.
Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to go through a few of the different specifics, really to make sure that your application is complete and ready to go. First of all, I'm going to start off with some of the personal details. So the personal details at the very beginning of your application, these are the details you must get right. I cannot emphasize this enough. It might seem like this is the smallest part of it and then your important sections are your executive summary in your video, but if you do not get these details correct, then we will not be able to continue you in the competition. So ensure that your details are accurate and correct. Regarding your country of citizenship, if your country is not listed and amongst the 86 countries that are there, unfortunately you are not yet eligible to apply. By all means, email us and we will put you on a future list that we're really looking at already building the competition much larger next year. For the 86 countries there, please do ensure that you do select one of the country of citizenship. The email address, we've said it that many times. Even when I was sending out the invitation for the webinar yesterday, I had so many email addresses fail. So please check your email address at the review stage and everything else. Now, what you will know is that when you log on, you have to use an email address and you have to use a password. That email address and password I do not have access to. The only email address that I do have access to is the one that you physically type into the form. When we are selecting semi-finalists and once we've gone to expert review, we will contact everybody to confirm. We will actually need your active confirmation that you want to continue in the competition. If we cannot contact you, if your email address is spelled incorrectly, we can try and work things out. We know that if there's a 2 and it should be an @ we can try and work this out. But for some of them, they just make no sense. If we cannot contact you, you will not be able to continue in the competition. So really, once you've done your application, make sure you go back and check that email address is correct. With regarding the company name and the idea name, I've had a lot of questions regarding this. The reason we've broken it up is that especially for people in the startup stage of the competition, they may have a company with 3 or 4 different ideas. Now, basically what this is you might have a company, for example, called Apple, and your idea is the iPod. So really this is to break it down. If you are at the idea stage and you only have an idea name, then by all means put that name in either of the boxes. One is required, I think it's the company name that's required, so put your idea name in there. It's just so that we know working forward exactly kind of what to advertise your company as. We don't want to sell your product wrong, and that's the reason why we bring that up.
Okay, so for your executive summary, a few things to keep in mind. First of all, make sure you do your executive summary. It should be no more than 750 words. So that's not very long, but it certainly is enough time for you to kind of write down and talk about what your idea is. It must be in English. If you submit an executive summary in a foreign language, we won't be able to review it. We won't be able to have it judged, and so it will be deemed ineligible. Our recommended structure is exactly what you'll be reviewed on in our external review phase, which are the why, the how, and the who. So what is your product or idea significance and relevance? Meaning, why is this product needed? Why is this service required in your community? So tell us about what the challenges are that you're facing. And how is the next one, how you're going to go about addressing those challenges. This is the scientific and technical merit of what you're doing. So you've described what the problem is and why a solution is needed. Now tell us how you're going to go about fixing that problem. And then finally close up with the who, and who will benefit. What's the commercial potential of your business, of your project, or of your idea? Does it have the potential to grow into other markets? Meaning if you're starting in your home country, can it be expanded into some of the neighboring regions that surround you? So really, it's really simple. You know, we're just talking about the why, the how, and the who.
Yeah, it's basically telling a bit of a story, and exactly what Christine said. This structure will really, really help you. We've seen a lot of applications come through, and this structure we really see as the strongest going forward. You need a beginning. You really need to set the scene as to kind of why on earth this is needed. You then kind of have the meat of it and everything else, and then you have to close with, okay, this is the impact we're going to have. Within the executive summary, you can include a very short section about yourself, but you definitely should not be submitting your resume here. This is not your opportunity to sell yourself. It's selling your ideas, and we cannot emphasize that enough. Just to answer one of the questions that was about the email addresses which has just come in, you do not have to have a company email address. If you've got an @gmail.com or at Yahoo, your email address can be absolutely anything. It doesn't matter for this competition what your standing in society is. So whether you are a CEO of a company or whether you're a student who actually just has a great idea, it doesn't matter. Whatever email address you have is perfect. You don't have to have a specific company address or anything else. I know the ones that we're using at the moment for GISNet is gisnet.org, but if you kind of see that a lot of the time you might end up getting different emails from AAAS, depending on who's working with you. So by all means, just make sure the email address is correct. It doesn't have to be affiliated with any company. Okay, so very quickly, I'm going to give a brief introduction to the video, and then I'm going to hand over to Brandon, who's going to cover 2 slides really on the content of the video, because I know he's been working with a lot of people and has amazing advice to do with this. So to do with your video, it can only be 90 seconds maximum. We've had a lot of people asking, can I do a long of it? Can I do this? Our advice is always no. And that might seem kind of harsh. If you submit a video which is 5 minutes long, reviewers will only be required to review the first 90 seconds. Now, given that, a reviewer might honestly watch the full 5 minutes, but we cannot guarantee that that is going to happen. More importantly, if you are selected as a semi-finalist, I will personally edit your video to exactly 90 seconds. It will be cut. It will not be nicely edited or anything else. I know Brandon's been working with a lot of people to try and cut the video down, figure out exactly how we can manipulate that, and really this is your opportunity to do that now. Once we shut the window on Friday, you will not be able to edit that video unless we specifically contact you with a specific need. Really 90 seconds is the maximum. Also, we've seen a lot of videos come in that have been really, really short because people have tried to rush. So if you know that that is you and you're somebody like me who speaks very, very quickly, then really think about slowing it down. If your video is 40 seconds, you might want to think about, oh, if I take an extra breath here, I might be able to, I've got time to do this. So think about using your time wisely. For the video, it must be in English or have English subtitles. Now, I know Brandon and I have been working with a lot of people to do with how we get English subtitles on and how we do everything else. So by all means, if you have any specific questions, feel free to email us and we will be more than happy to help you with that. And Brandon will go through some great hints in the next couple of slides. Our advice on how to make a video is really focus on the purpose. Really focus on what this video is about. This video is your opportunity to sell your idea to the world. We really, really want to see your excitement. There's nothing worse than kind of if we were sitting here and we were talking and it was very quiet. We're passionate about TechEye and we're passionate about your applications. So really show that excitement. Also be really creative with it. We obviously here are just using a simple laptop, but we've put some banners up behind us. We've tried to organize this so that we all kind of manage to fit on, even though I keep on going in and out of the screen. But think about it. We've shut the door, so we've created a really quiet environment. A lot of the videos that we've seen have been in busy marketplaces or on a road, and that can be kind of difficult. So really think about your setting and be creative about how you can use a normal, just plain old room. And think about the people and the graphics and the animations. You don't have to have spaceships flying in and fireworks everywhere. You also don't have to have a huge amount of people. As you can see from this webinar, this is the first time we've added a third person in, and we really had to think when we were sitting here this morning of how can we all fit in, who sits where, and everything else. So think about that. If we were suddenly to try and add another 10 people in, this might be very, very chaotic. So think about the people who you are using in the video, and think about the graphics you are using that actually make sure you sell the product well. Okay, over to Brandon now.
Yeah, and I just add to that, I've gotten some questions on, well, they didn't talk about myself a lot in the video. That's not really a concern of the video. You should state your name, that's fine, but really go into purpose of what you're talking about before. And I've gotten a lot of questions about, I don't know how to make a video, and is it necessary? Yes, the video is required. There's no way to get around it. But there are a lot of tools, and we've provided them in the past of how to make the video. So you can use simple cameras, something from your laptop, a webcam, cell phone video, cameras, video cameras, and really, at a basic level, if you just sit in front of a cell phone video camera and talk about what it is you're doing, that is the basis of what we need. I mean, we don't need anything really fancy. No, it doesn't have to be a movie production. It just has to be a video where you talk about your ideas. Now, if you don't have access to a video camera or you don't want to appear on screen, there are a lot of softwares. We've recommended Powtoon.com, and I just wanted to mention, if you do that, make sure you export it to YouTube. They used to allow you to download it, but no longer. So export it to YouTube or share it to YouTube, and then send us the link, and then from there we can pull it down from YouTube and put it on your application. If you have any questions about how to do that, feel free to email me. I'm happy to answer the questions and work with you on how to create your video using Powtoon. Now, the other option you can do is if you have a PowerPoint presentation or if you have access to PowerPoint, you can make a video through that. I'm happy to convert the slides into the video. You can also add narration and music while you're using PowerPoint, and then just send it to me and I'll make it into a video. It's not a problem. If you don't have access to PowerPoint, Google has free software, presentation software, and then you can make the presentation, download it as a PowerPoint, even if you don't have the software, and then you can send it to me and I can make it into a video. It's really, we're trying to help you out in any way. The video should not be an impediment into making your application.
That's some great advice, and we've really actually learned a lot this year. I know last year when we were running it, we were definitely about the selfie videos, and this year, thanks to Brandon especially, we've really learned how to use a lot of this software. I think it was only last week that Brandon and I learned how to turn a PowerPoint presentation into a video, and it really is simple, but we are here to help you do that. Exactly as you said, we can add music, we can add absolutely everything. So this is really one of those things that the video shouldn't be seen as a barrier. Also, this video, we've had a lot of people, as Brandon say, well, do I have to? I don't want to make a video. This video is a great opportunity for you. This is your commercial to put on the internet. This is a huge opportunity. I cannot emphasize it enough. Christine and I really didn't kind of take into account last year, I don't think, up until we got to the public voting stage. With the public voting stage, over 500,000 people viewed the videos. That's a huge audience. From that, people got funding directly for the ideas that they put on the videos. Exactly what Brandon said. It is not the quality of the video that you will be assessed on, and this is specifically there in the criteria for the experts. They are not assessing you on the quality of the video. It is the content of the video. And if you have got any questions, we did have a previous webinar on this, and you can see the differences between some of the videos. You can in fact see one video which is very, very dark. Somebody's filming a computer screen. It's really difficult to kind of make out. But the content of that video took that person to the finals, and that person actually walked away with 2 prizes from the finals last year. So really think about the content and don't consider this a massive hurdle.
And also, if you're going to do PowerPoint, feel free to, if you have a presentation, send it to me. And then if you have like music that you want to put in the background, send the file with the music and I can just add it. It's not a problem. And also, if you are doing PowerPoint where there's not going to be any voiceover, make sure that your slide doesn't have like a paragraph on each slide. You got to give the viewer the opportunity to quickly read through, because the slides will go quickly, and if you have an entire paragraph on a slide, the viewer will not be able to read it before it switches to the next.
And he's got even more advice.
Yeah, so as I said, you don't really need to tell us too much about yourself, but just tell us who you are and what your idea is. You then should focus on the problem. A lot of people have taken this as an advantage to showcase if it's a problem that can be visualized, showing the problem. But make sure to talk about it. Don't just show us the problem and think of it as a supplement to what your executive summary is. This should be explaining exactly what the problem is and also what your solution is. And then at the end, make sure that you leave a closing mark, your name, repeat your name, your project, so that the viewer will be left with that, with your name and your idea when they finish the video.
Yeah, this is actually a really great marketing exercise for you, and even if your business doesn't move on, or you decide in the end that you don't want to apply this year to TechEye and that you want to apply next year, overall, as an entrepreneur, as an innovator, this is an excellent exercise for you to take underway. And our recommended structure for both the executive summary and the video, they really are just the foundation of what it is to describe why you want to do what you want to do. And essentially, that's exactly what Brandon just covered. Now, we talk about focusing on the content and not the quality. We make sure that you can use all of your resources. I just want to reiterate that we are a resource to you as well. We are not the folks who will be judging your videos. So when we say use the resources that are available to you, that includes the 3 of us. So if you are having a problem with, maybe you have 3 names and you can't think of what your company name should be, write to us, tell us, we'll tell you what we think. Talk to your friends, use your family, use your community around you, have people view your video. Find somebody who doesn't know what you're doing and show it to them. Show it to a stranger and see if they understand what you're talking about. If they don't understand what your project is, then chances are that someone over here, one of our reviewers, might also have difficulty understanding. So it might be, these last few days might be a good opportunity for you to revisit. Look at the structure of your video, make sure it makes sense, and be yourself.
So that actually works perfectly into a question that's come in as to whether you're supposed to explain technically the solution or the problem. So yes, this is a science and technology competition at the heart of it, and there is marks for scientific merit, as exactly what Christine was saying for the executive summary. So if you look through the program announcement, you'll see the questions. We are not expecting huge wire diagrams and massive amounts of technical information, but we also don't want to see applications where you've invented a time machine, but you don't explain how you've managed to invent your time machine. Now, there's a really fine line, actually, and we've been working with a lot of people to do with this, to do with intellectual property. So the thing is, especially if you are at the idea stage, a lot of intellectual property, you will not have patents, you will not have trademarks or anything else moving forward. So you might be really concerned as to whether you want to share that or not with the competition. Now, our advice to everybody in that aspect is to put as much as you feel relevant into your executive summary ready for review. We are not asking people to put a lot of technical information into their videos because that video will be available online and to the mass public. If you include technical information in your executive summary, which you would like to be protected, we can make that happen. So for us, we all have non-disclosure agreements, so we're not going to steal any of your ideas. The experts also have to sign a number of pieces of paperwork, which also mean that they cannot take your ideas. And at that point, if you are then selected as a semi-finalist, we can then remove certain sections of your executive summary to protect your ideas. But definitely, if you have got a lot of scientific information, it really is worth putting that research into your application. Now, equally, if you don't have a huge amount of scientific research, if you don't have a huge amount of science to this project, don't worry about that either. You don't have to have pages and pages of different scientific research and everything else. But if you do have that, that is important to include. Each application is unique, and not every application is going to have the same amount of science in there, especially if somebody is developing a new healthcare device in comparison to somebody is dealing with something in agriculture. There's very different levels of science that are going in there. So just concentrate on making your application unique and specific to you, and don't worry about what everybody else is doing. If you follow the criteria that is in the program announcement, that is exactly what you are going to be assessed on. So don't worry about everybody else, and just make sure that you try and get your content correct. Okay.
So, as we mentioned before, as far as talking about the third aspect of what can go into an application, we really want to talk about the supporting documents. Now, I want to just say off the bat that these are optional. They are not required. However, if you know that you submitted your application with your resume as your executive summary, that is a supporting document, and you should go ahead and move it from your executive summary as a supporting document, and you should revisit your executive summary and really get on paper just the basics and the overview of what it is that you're doing. So there is a maximum of 2 supporting documents that can be uploaded to each application. Now, these are optional, so they're not required, but if you have graph, if you have statistics or things like that you can't physically put into a text box in the executive summary, this is a great place for that to go. They must be written in English. If you give us a 200-page business plan in Russian, unless we happen to have a reviewer that can understand Russian, which we do not guarantee, they won't be able to look at that information, and it might be all extremely relevant and really great. Also, we do recommend that you don't submit a 200-page supporting document in general. We're talking about, think about going through an interview. They say when they look at your resume and they look at a cover letter from you, it's a quick process. So you want to grab your reader's attention, and having a big document can be intimidating. So having that research done is good for you as a company, but not required to be a part of your supporting documents. So the intent of the supporting documents are to support what you say in your executive summary. The expert panel are not required to review these documents. What we recommend is if you have a graph or if you have a chart that you say in your executive summary, please see graph XYZ in supporting documents. That will lead the reader to go to the supporting documents and look at your graph, because I'm sure your graphs are really great and they should be seen. Some examples, like I said, statistics, spreadsheets, diagrams, charts, photos, or your team member details. So if you're at the startup stage and you kind of already have a prototype, for example, or you have something working in the field, take a picture of that. That's great. Or let's say that you are at the idea stage and you've drawn out a prototype and how you think it can be used. Take a picture of that or scan that onto a computer and add that as a supporting document. There's a value added in helping your reader visualize what it is that you're doing. And so these are documents to support your application, so use them to your advantage if you can.
Yeah, and on that, there are no extra bonus points. There is no score for a supporting document. So if you're sitting there right now thinking, well, I don't have anything to include, that if you don't have anything to include, then don't force anything to include. This really is, as Christine said, it is there to support. We've had a number of images and photos and everything else. The reason we've added the team details on there is that we've had a lot of people contacting us over the past week with well, I'm only one applicant as my whole team. I want my whole team to be aware. So that's a really great thing to do, like an organizational chart, if you're at the startup stage especially. If you've got maybe mentors that you want to kind of mention or anything, that's the place to do it. If you take up that space and put that all into your executive summary, you're going to lose a lot of the great content which you're going to be assessed on. So this really is there to try and help you to do exactly that and to really paint the picture, as Christine said.
Okay. This used to be Christine's wise words. Now it's just advice. They are wise. So really, I'm just going to reiterate some of the stuff I'm sure you guys have seen over and over again. Be yourself. Think creatively when you go about putting your application together, and show us your personality. You know, we understand that we want to hear about your product and your idea, but we also want to see you as an entrepreneur, as an individual. So please be creative about, you know, what you put in your video, about, you know, how you're writing your summary. Sell us your ideas and your products. Tell us why we need it. Now, specifically me, I might not need it yet, but maybe one day I will. So again, this is an entrepreneurship competition, and young entrepreneurs are some of the most motivated people and ambitious people that I've ever met in my life, and it's really inspiring. So inspire us, show us your personality, tell us why, you know, your product is needed. Again, don't worry about your video quality. It's the content that's important, and this just goes to show, you know, we have the regions that we represent in this competition are so wide and so far spread around the world. We understand that resources are different for folks from one end of the world to the other. So please use what's available to you, use your resources, and, you know, make it work. And double and triple check that all of your information is correct to ensure it's completed. I'd love to be able to come and knock on your door and tell you that you're missing something in your application or that you are a semi-finalist. But unfortunately, I won't be able to do that. So the only way we'll be able to tell you is by email. So if your email is not listed correctly, then we won't be able to communicate with you. And we can try to stalk you on the internet, but
we will try.
We will try. But you don't want that. And also, you know, you want to know as soon as possible that you're moving on to the next stage. So this is really just, sometimes I spell my name wrong. I write it over and over again on the computer. So just double and triple check that.
And Christine's advice here is really, really kind of things to grab hold of. We've had a lot of people thinking, oh, well, my idea isn't relevant. My idea isn't relevant to the US, or my idea isn't relevant to Africa, where our final is. Your idea doesn't have to be relevant to anybody else but you, your community, and your market. Even if it's only a very small group of people who you might impact, then that small group of people matter. Every single idea matters. Now, the best ideas that we certainly have seen this year and from last year are the ones where we left feeling, wow, we really need this product. We were laughing about some of our finalists and joking around about it the finalists from last year. And there's one individual who convinced us in 5 minutes of pitching that we had to invest in her product. Neither of us have any concept of what this product does, and it certainly isn't relevant to a UK or a US audience. But we left thinking, yes, we must invest. Really get those ideas out there. Really draw us in and make us realize, actually, this is a problem, and this is a great solution, and this person's so excited, and I want to work with them. And that kind of level of excitement is really necessary. None of us here are entrepreneurs, but we are all passionate about entrepreneurship. And it's really one of those, we want to see that passion. We aren't entrepreneurs because we don't have the great ideas that you do. So we really want to help sell your ideas to the world and really give you that platform to be able to move forward.
Yeah, and if you have any questions or doubts whether your innovation fits into the competition, go ahead and apply. It's not going to hurt. And chances are you're going to find that maybe that innovation actually is one of the better ones. So if there's any doubt, just apply. Okay, and these are based on questions that I've got through emails, and so I just wanted to answer them really quickly. First of all, even though you have submitted your application already, you can go into your application and edit it. So if you wanted to include something more on the executive summary, or you shot your video and before the extension of the deadline, you can go back into it, and I highly stress that you should do that if you feel like you can make your application stronger. This is extra time that you have. Just make sure you press submit and know that you will not get a confirmation email when you do that, when you resubmit it. But if there's any doubt, just email us. We can check, see if the changes you made are in place, and let you know all about that. So don't worry about that. Also, if you might, some of the people have several different applications in. If you have submitted an application and you had another application and you're thinking, why am I getting these emails saying I haven't completed my application? Send us an email. We'll check it out. Perhaps you started another application and we just need to get rid of those applications that you haven't submitted. Another question that has been coming in is, I don't know if mine fits into the idea or the startup, or whether it's energy or ICT. We want to stress, don't worry about that too much. We can always change it when we look over the application, and if we feel like this would fit better in health than in ICT, we'll just go ahead and move it. Or this sounds more of a startup than an idea, we'll move it to that to a startup. So don't stress out too much about that at this point in time. If you have any questions, feel free to email us. We'll give you our take on where we think it should go, and we can go from there. But don't stress out about it. And finally, this is what I was talking about on the previous slides about the video. Don't stress out too much about it. As I said, there's plenty of options we can do, whether it's through a PowerPoint presentation, the Powtoon.com, or just simply a video of yourself with using your cell phone and talking about your idea. That's what's important, is to get across your idea, and not whether there's narration behind it or not, just the idea through the video in some way.
Perfect. And now I've got a few do's and don'ts. And this really is, all these past 3 slides really have been just from our experiences and everything else. So my first is, do take the risk and apply. We've spoken to so many people who are like, I just don't think I'm good enough. Or I'm still in university. This isn't for me. This is for somebody who's owned a company and everything else. You honestly, the whole thing about entrepreneurship, and we've learned this especially over the past year, is all about taking risks. You have to take that leap of faith, and this really is one of those amazing opportunities. We saw it last year with our 30 finalists and with our 65 semi-finalists, that really those people who took the chance in applying, they never expected this. We've got one particular finalist from last year who got a prize, who's doing amazing things right now. And he really was at the very point where he was working with Christina a lot, and he wasn't sure whether he should apply. He didn't think this was him. He didn't think this was appropriate within his culture. He didn't think that. And he took the risk, and he is now flourishing, and it's amazing to see. So really take the risk and apply. We are really here to help you and to really promote you in the best possible way, and we will work with you through every single stage of this competition to ensure that you are getting the best possible publicity as possible. We are here for you, solely for this competition, so really think about that, and we are here to help. So I want to take the opportunity to show show the world how amazing you are. This is about you and your ideas. We are blown away by some of the amazing ideas that constantly are coming in, and this is your opportunity to really get the idea from your head or from your local community and really show the world. Like, we are often astounded that how on earth did this person think about this? Or quite often we're like, how is this not already in existence? This seems so obvious. So really take this opportunity and show the excitement as well. Share the excitement with us. We are massively excited by TechEye. And if we seem a little low today, it's because the weather outside and we're all not feeling great. But I swear to God, we're always kind of energetic, and we're always doing this. And if you email us, we will always share that energy with you. If you do get all the way to the finals, you will certainly see that energy in Sub-Saharan Africa with us. But really, we want to see your excitement. We want you to show the world, this is your idea. We don't want you to kind of sell it with, I don't think this is a great idea. do you think this is the best idea ever because it's your idea? You should definitely share that excitement with us. And our don't give up if you can't upload the document. And I know Brandon's talked about this, but especially with the video or if you've got supporting documents, if you're struggling to upload because of a connection speed or because of a different file extension or it just won't work, do not worry. Feel free to email us. You can email us the documents. You can upload the documents to YouTube, as Brandon was suggesting. We can upload the documents. We've used Microsoft OneDrive, Google Drive. Whatever you can physically upload the documents to, we will figure out a way to get them from you. We are then able to upload them into your application and still refer you so that you're able to hit the submit button. So don't worry about that. Don't want a barrier at all. We have worked with everybody on every different level, so we will definitely help you to do this. And my biggest final thing is don't forget to hit submit. We have got so many applications at the moment who have a video and their executive summary already complete. And they might be doing different edits, but if you don't hit submit by the deadline, then that will not count as an application. Also, don't forget to kind of really check everything. Even once you've hit submit, as Brandon said, you can go back in and you can make those final edits, but you know as a fact that you've still entered the competition. So there are big do's and don'ts. Just a quick question that has come in, which is regarding if you are not favorably chosen. So if you are not selected as a semi-finalist, will you receive feedback? We have got a lot of applications in this year, and exactly as it is laid out in the program announcement, we are not able to provide robust feedback. We will not be able to give you advice which will build your company much further. We can give you our personal advice, but you have to understand that if everybody who isn't successful contacts us for personal advice, this is going to take a long time. We will try and give you as much feedback as possible, but by all means, just email us after the date, and we will be able to do that. Obviously, we will be working with experts at the time. We will be able to provide you with the scores, and especially where you scored low, but experts are not required to complete a huge comment section and to provide you with mentorship and advice. What we can do is we can refer your application to a mentor within the GIST network, and then we will be able to connect you, and you will be able to work one-on-one with a mentor to really improve your application and your ideas moving forward. So there are many, many options.
And there is our external review experts, they do have a text box, so if your application strikes them and they want to provide written feedback to you, again, it's not going to be extremely robust. It's not going to be, 20 pages long. But if there are comments and you are interested in receiving those, we are happy to send them your way.
So the questions just come in regarding a small demo video. Can you upload that as a supporting document? What I would recommend is if you can build that into your video, then that would be a great way to actually include that there. There's no guarantee that you'll be able to upload a video, and once again, the supporting documents are there to support. If this is a great demo video, you might want to include it in your main video. And there's ways to combine video clips and PowerPoint presentations and everything else. So by all means, email, and definitely Brandon will be able to help you to merge that if you want to include it. If it is a completely separate thing, then by all means, email us the video and we will get that uploaded as a supporting document for you. But just be aware that if you have created a video already, you really want to include that in your video, definitely to make sure that people kind of can see this happening. Okay.
So your next step, apply. That's the biggest next step. Make sure you apply. Make sure you submit that application at gistnetwork.org/apply. Email us your questions. Again, use us. We are a resource to you. We are here for you. This is our job. This is what we do. So email us your questions. If you have a speed bump, if there's something that you need help breaking through, if you have a demo video and you want to understand the best way to merge that into your pitch video, email us your questions. Participate in the GIST Network discussion boards. These are on gistnetwork.org. They're great discussion boards. There's an immense amount of information and resources available to you. And also, if you want to revisit some of our past webinars, they're available at gistnetwork.org/advice, as well as some great tips. Again, deadline is this Friday, the 27th of March at 12 p.m., which is Eastern Daylight Time, New York time. And make sure you hit that submit button. So
So yeah, just to finish off Ricardo's question about his demo video, it's 6 minutes long. So by all means, what you can do, I don't think you're going to be able to upload that as a supporting document yourself. But if you email us the video, we will be able to upload that on your behalf, and then you'll be able to go in and hit submit. So don't worry about that. You can definitely include that. You might still want to kind of include a little clip of it, definitely in your video, because once again, you're not guaranteed that the experts are going to review that, but that's it. Okay, so if you've got any further questions, now is the time to ask those questions. Yep, so Ricardo, if you just email that to us, that will be fine, and we will get that uploaded for you. So yeah, so now is really the time to ask any questions in the window. I know we've had a lot of questions coming in a lot of the time. I'll just start with one that I've received a lot, and Brandon kind of touched on it, to do with the idea and startup, and people really not being able to identify with which kind of way they sit or why we have two sections or anything else. So just to explain the competition a little bit, we are accepting applications through every range. So if you have your idea in your head right now, all the way through to you're an established startup company, you're actually already producing things, you're already selling things, you're already working within the market, we cover that whole range. Within that, we do not expect people who have had a company for 3 years to compete on the same level with people who have just got an idea. That's not realistic, because we can't actually work the metrics to work the same. So we have split this into an idea and a startup section within that. Now, within that, the idea stage really are for people who are very, very early on. Now, you might be slightly more developed than the ideas just in your head, but you might not be to the point of having prototypes and a CEO and a CIO and everybody else and a lot of different pieces moving. So if you are confused as to where you fit, think about where you might fit in your opinion, and then as Brandon said, we will always change it. If we do change your category for whatever reason, it will be for your own benefit. So you might find that you've applied under, this is a great example, under the ICT category. Within ICT at the moment, the majority of our applications, I think we're at 45%, are in ICT. It is a highly competitive environment. So we might turn around and say, actually, do you know what, we're going to move you to healthcare because it's a healthcare app. Within that, we will move you because it is more advantageous for you to be moved into that category. Before we do that, however, we will contact you and say, we are considering moving you to this for your own benefit. Are you happy? If you don't reply, we will keep you where you are. If you don't reply because your email address doesn't work, then we definitely can't move you. But really, anything that we contact you with, especially in the internal review week, which is coming up straight after the window closes, please respond to that and think about, well, we're doing it for the best thing. Exactly what Christine said. We cannot review any of these applications. We cannot give points. We cannot boost anyone through to the finals. We do not handpick the people who we like or we've worked with a lot. We are here to offer our advice. We are here to help you through every single stage. We've gone through this process once before, and we know how this kind of runs. We've been working with so many applications. In total, I think we've worked with now roughly over 1,000 different entrepreneurs to really get their application sorted, and they have been at so many different stages. So really, if we do contact you, it will be for your own benefit.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
Yeah, so there's a question here of you've already submitted your application and you'd like us to take a quick look at it. That's absolutely perfect. So if you send us an email and request for us to look at specific aspects, we can definitely do that and give you some advice. It's not going to be pages upon pages of advice, I guarantee, but we will be able to. We are only 2 days away from the deadline, so if suddenly all of the people who are in draft form suddenly email Brandon, he's going to be exceptionally busy. This man needs sleep. So it is one of those that please do email us as soon as possible, and we will try and review your application.
Well, in that scenario, I think that what we'll be just making sure is that you are complete enough to kind of move forward in the competition. So it'll be a brief review. It won't be, an hour-long, dissecting your information. But if we see that there are things that are missing or things that, just aren't done correctly, those are the kind of tips that we can kind of give you.
And also, as a great heads up, Brandon has been going through all of the submitted applications. So If he has not contacted you with a problem, that is already a very good sign. So it's one of those, if he has been contacting people with videos that are too long, videos that are not in English, and other different factors that really can help improve. So we have been working with people, but if you do have any specific ones, just email us at tech-i@AAAS. Nope, that's a lie. At tech-i@gisnetwork.org. We've got 2 email addresses that constantly confuse me, and we will get that to you. I'll also type that into the window if I can lean right across to the laptop and do that. But yeah, email us and we will be happy to work with you. Okay, so there's a great question here about can the whole team go to the finals? And this is an issue. So we often talk about team within TechEye, and that's because within a startup realm, there are many different aspects to this. Now, if you are an individual, do not worry, you are not at any disadvantage. The person who is the applicant will be the applicant throughout the competition. That means they will be the person who is highlighted during the online voting stage. That is the person who we will connect to different media outlets and everything else. Now, you can take your team to those different events, but that will be the individual person we will connect. That will be the individual person who is probably most likely invited to the U.S. Embassy to give talks and different other things. That is also the person who will be invited on the all-expenses-paid trip to Sub-Saharan Africa to attend the Global Entrepreneurship Summit. We would love to bring everybody's team with us. However, if we brought everybody's team with us, we would end up with a huge group. Bear in mind, we are taking 30 finalists. We would end up with a huge group. The training that we provide would be diminished, and also the prize money would be significantly diminished. Now, we want to make sure that the amount of money that you guys have available to win is at its highest. Because of that, we do only accept one person to travel on an all-expenses-paid trip. Now, if you are a team and you are able to, and we had a lot of this last year, where we had finalists attend and their team members attended through different means. We know that we had one finalist last year from Pakistan, and his business partner came along because he actually got a grant from the embassy in Pakistan to actually accompany him to go to GES. There's other people who received funding from different ways so that they were able to be there in a more robust capacity. For the purposes of TechEye, it is only the one person who is the applicant who will be able to go to the finals with us, and there's a number of reasons for that. It's also that when people are in the idea stage, they do tend to be one person, and we don't want this to be biased if suddenly a team of 15 arrives versus a team of 1.
Yeah.
That really isn't kind of the way that this competition runs.
Also, you'll find that even if you are in a team of 4 or 5 people, and those are the people that you work with on a daily basis, I guarantee that when you're in a room with 30 other finalists on your own, you will learn so much about your company that you didn't know before. And it's the simple fact of being exposed to such a large international group of people with different life experiences and different business experiences. They'll be able to provide feedback. And also, I have this really great picture on my wall, and it says, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. So take yourself out of your comfort zone. You're used to, so Jenny and I are used to working together. We're used to running this competition together, and just as you are with some of your teammates. But once you're kind of put on your own, and you'll be more likely to interact with the people in our trainings and with the other finalists, and that's what we're really looking for too. So there is kind of a logistical aspect, and then there's also a business aspect that makes sense for you and your team ultimately to have one representative at TechEye.
So yeah, as we said, you might be able to find funding elsewhere to bring other teammates with you to the GES. There are a lot of events going on, but bear in mind that through TechEye, we will be pushing the one person who is the applicant. The great thing is if you can manage to find funding to bring your team members along, then they will be able to do a lot of publicity outside of some of the events that you will be involved in. But it really is trying to make sure, and as Christine said, getting 30 individuals from around the world who are all amazing entrepreneurs into our room, you will not believe the changes that happen. You might think that your idea is, and your team are the strongest team, it's the best idea, and you will be exposed to people who will question things, and you'll have to present your idea, and you have to hear other people presenting your idea. It's really how you communicate your idea best. So But that's all a long, long way away, but we're just making sure that you are aware. So this really is important about thinking about who the person who you select as the applicant is. The applicant obviously has to be eligible, so if the rest of your team are ineligible due to citizenship or age or whatever other reason, then definitely think about including the right person in there. Also think about the applicant being, this is an English-speaking competition, and you are required to be proficient in English, and you will pitch for 5 minutes in English in Sub-Saharan Africa at the finals. So really think about the best person who's available to communicate that need. So either of you two have any more questions?
Well, I just wanted to mention before we ended it that if you're watching this and you are not from a country that's included in the eligible countries, or if you're watching this and then you go to apply and you realize you're not in one of the countries, there are still other opportunities, and we will direct you to GISNet, which you can be a part of even though if you're not in one of the 86 countries. Just send us an email and we can give you the information to join GISNet or GIS Network. And we can also make a note of your country so that when the decision is made as far as what other countries will be included, we can put that country's name in the list as well to try to get them involved as well. So
absolutely, and I think that's a great note to close on. We've had some great questions today, and don't fear if your country isn't listed. Please, we'll stay in touch with you and make sure you open that line of communication with us. And we will keep all of those countries for future years. So
we're going to leave it here today, and we're going to get back straight away to the email and really try and help you. So if you have got any outstanding questions, by all means, email us, and we will be happy to help. If you do have any questions regarding your video, then there is a great webinar online which is available at the advice page. But if you do have any questions, send us an email, and we will be more than happy to reply. Thank you so much for attending today, and good luck completing your application, and we look forward to reviewing everything next week.
Thank
you.
Bye.